Welcome, welcome, welcome. Well, folks, we are coming to you a day after it has been presumed that the Mets have supposedly moved on from homegrown favorite Pete Alonso. Well, Pete Alonso, he's still a free agent, folks. He is still out there. And if the Mets wanted to, even at this very moment, they can choose to sign him. But the thought process is, according to the MLB insiders, and we are given a lot of power to those MLB insiders, specifically Andy Martino, who has said over and over that the Mets have officially pivoted to plan B, officially pivoted to a plan B. But I want us to think big picture, folks. Think big picture and also remember this one word: stability. Stability. The New York Mets have hired, obviously, David Stearns about a year now. He's been on the job, and he is the architect of building this team, right? David Stearns, according to some, has had a very interesting way of team building, right? Some may question, all right, he may be a little methodical. He may have that small market mentality. But you know what, folks? If you look at big picture, I would have to disagree. I would say that it seems like, no, maybe he isn't like, all right, give every decent free agent, a load of money. I think he's very selective. And we're going to go over why. Before we get into this video, and this is a very significant video, very important video that I need your opinion on. So please, let's make this a great video. Hit the like button, please. If you are new, we're trying to grow this channel. And I know we have had a lot of people who have watched the videos, didn't hit the subscribe button yet. Please do me a favor, hit that subscribe button because it helps us grow. You'll get more videos, get more content. So do us a favor. All right. So let's get into what the sentiment is today, 24 hours after losing, supposedly pivoting from Alonso. And this is what the sentiment is. And I'll read you one tweet. I keep telling everyone, Cohen is thinking big picture. He's thinking Vladdy. He saw what Soto did for ticket sales. You get Vladdy and you combine him with Soto and Lindor, and that is franchise altering. And folks, that is where the smoke is right now. The smoke is significant around the Vladimir Guerrero trade right now. Extremely significant. Now, we're going to look at that from a couple of different angles because I know you're saying he's a free agent next year. You could just wait and sign him. But there are many pitfalls in waiting. And we're going to go over that. And there are significant pitfalls. And then other people may say, well, Toronto wants to re-sign him. Folks, Toronto's been wanting to re-sign him for years. Even going back into this beginning of December, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. put out a statement saying, if you don't sign me by spring training, trade me. I mean, we are literally just weeks away from that. And the Toronto Blue Jays have been very unsuccessful in signing Vladimir Guerrero Jr. In fact, I think it was a week ago, they said that the contract differential was great in terms of money. So I don't have any confidence. You hear in the last couple of days that they're working on a contract, but I fully expect them to have one last ditch effort to try to sign him. And also, what does that one last ditch effort do? Right now, you hear a rumor the Toronto Blue Jays are supposedly going after Mr. Pete Alonso. That would be a replacement for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Now, by you saying you want to sign Guerrero, now you're trying to gain leverage in the Pete Alonso, signing right now. I mean, if they say they're trading Vladdy or they're not interested in Vladdy, now Pete Alonso becomes very valuable. That signing becomes valuable. So that's where I think that smoke is. I don't think at this point, if Toronto has not been successful in signing Guerrero, I do not believe all of a sudden now they're going to be like, all right, pay the guy close to 450 mil. It's not going to happen. Right now, I think Toronto is in the process of pivoting, but to still gain that leverage or have that leverage, they are saying Guerrero is still an option. Now, to remain on Toronto for one more moment and take this for what you will, a couple days before the Mets signed Soto, I had somebody message me on X, claim to be an insider, right? So I didn't really think much of it, but I said, all right, let me listen up. This person said on Friday night that Toronto Blue Jays are out. They're not going to sign Soto, and that the Mets would be the ones who sign Soto, and they said that the Mets would sign him for about $740 million. So they were off with money, but they were quite impressively right with where Soto would end up. Now, that person literally just put out on X that his inside source just said Sasaki is more than likely going to Toronto. Just wanted to put that out there. I'm not saying I believe it, but the guy got it right on the Soto situation. So, I'm interested. Hope maybe he gets it right. I don't mind. If Sasaki goes to Toronto, we know the Mets are out. I'd much rather him go to the American League, especially to Toronto, rather than going to the Dodgers. So just wanted to share that with you. Now, okay, getting back to the Mets. And if you haven't got a chance to hit that like button or subscribe, now's your second opportunity. All right. So getting back to the Mets, now let's talk about the trade scenario, right? So the Mets potentially letting go of Pete. What are the benefits of trading for Guerrero now? And I believe once those contract extension talks break down with Toronto, Toronto will pivot to try to capitalize on the value of Guerrero. So the benefits to trading for Guerrero now. Number one, Guerrero. You want to trade for Guerrero, the basically you would want to sign him, right? You're not going to give up prospects if you're going to lose him. You're going to want to sign him. So Guerrero has made it known that if you meet his number, he will sign. So that's great. The Mets could trade for him with the knowledge that he is willing to sign. It's not like he's, the Scott Boras clients. No, you don't negotiate at all. You wait till free agency period. That's not the case with Guerrero. Guerrero has said that he will sign if his number is met. That's number one, but that's not even close to the biggest reason. Number two, it eliminates competition. Eliminates teams from the Yankees being involved. I'm not saying the Dodgers, but big market teams, the Red Sox. Teams that will need a first baseman next year, especially a superstar free agent, especially a team that maybe lost out on Soto, they will be willing to go after Guerrero. So you eliminate the competition, but eliminating the competition, what else do you do? Well, you eliminate the chance of this contract going up by hundreds of millions of dollars. Well, case in point, Ohtani number one by the Blue Jays, by the Dodgers, Padres, all these teams that were willing to spend $600 million, $650 million. Now Ohtani, that was rumored to get a $500 million contract, he comes away with a $700 million contract. But there's no bigger example than Juan Soto, where you had the perfect situation where you had five big market teams, the Dodgers, you had the Mets, you had the Yankees, you had all these teams going head to head, and you had the bidding go to $765 million. If you trade for Guerrero now, all you have to do is meet Guerrero's price. You don't have to worry about a crazy owner saying, all right, you know what? Give him another $100 million or give him another $50 million. So you basically do that now. You sign him, get him into the fold, and that's that. That's another benefit. Number three, you get to take advantage of 2025. You get to take advantage of Lindor while he's still 31. Soto's 26. So you get that ship going now. You really get that ship going now. And also, you get another year of, or another additional year of building your three-headed monster. Now, we spoke about Stearns being that small market GM. Now, I'll tell you that if Stearns in 1 year is able to get, even though I know Cohen is a big influence in the Soto game, but if you tell me you're able to get Soto, Guerrero, and Lindor within a year, and I know we got Lindor years ago, but that group together, that is monumental. Cohen already saw ticket sales, everything going through the roof. This is how you build your brand. Something this special, this unique. This is what the Dodgers have. And what the Dodgers have been doing is they've been building for a while. They've been building this team since at least 2019. More than that. But, they got Mookie Betts in 2020, Freddie Freeman in 2022, obviously Ohtani last year, Yamamoto last year. Now they add Blake Snell. So they've been building this franchise or this juggernaut for the longest time. Juan Soto said dynasty. What do you need? You need premier superstar players. You get a Guerrero, you get a Soto, you get a Lindor. That is special. What else do you have? You have a great young manager. You have a great president, baseball operations guy in David Stearns. You also have one of the best owners, passionate, richest owners in the games. Folks, we are building something special, something great. The only thing that I would stay away from in the Guerrero trade, and this is part of the cons. The number one cons is you have to give up prospects. I would say that's the only con. You have to give up prospects, but in giving up the prospects, you have to give up the right prospects. You know that we have a slew of infielders. You know that we have a bunch of infielders who are being blocked because Lindor is going to need playing time. If you get a Guerrero, he's going to be in the infield. If you have a Vientos, he's going to be in the infield. Acuna, he's in the infield. So you get the point. So if you have these infield prospects, even though you love them, they are expendable for the right players. So Jet Williams, who is 2 years younger than Guerrero or 3 years younger than Guerrero is a more established player. You would include a Jet Williams. A Jet Williams you would certainly include. The only players who you do not want to include, you wouldn't include a Brandon Sproat. To me, that wouldn't be worth it. So bottom line is you have to build the package around the right prospects. And we have a slew of very good positional prospects. So that's it. So those are all the benefits. Let me know what you think. I think there are many benefits. And, going back to think big picture, continue to think big picture. Stearns is going to be selective. The right pieces, he will spend the money. But we're not going to invest in pieces that are on the other end of their career. Now, Pete Alonso, and I know there are a lot of people still upset about Pete Alonso, and I feel for you. The reason why I'm not as upset as I would have been maybe last year is because, as I mentioned in my last video, I've done a lot of research. These big first basemen get old, and they get old quick when they get to their low, 30s. And I mean 31, 32. Look at all the big guys, famous guys, no matter how they are. And I keep mentioning the list: Albert Pujols, Miguel Cabrera, Todd Helton, Ryan Howard. Every single major first baseman, you can't find one. You cannot really find one that has been really successful. I mean, in the last 40 years, maybe there'll be one or two, but the chances that Pete Alonso is going to defy, those big odds, I wouldn't bet on it. I really wouldn't bet on it because you have seen notable decline over the last 2 years. And I repeat, I love Pete, but he is a different player from 2019 to 2022, and then from 2023 to 2024. Those are two different ball players. So am I going to think that he is more, if I sign him to a 3-year contract, am I getting to the 2019 to 22 version of Pete, or am I more than likely getting the 2023 to 2024 version, which is a guy who's under 800 OPS, a guy who's average home run per at bat is way up. A guy who's hitting about 230. So, the numbers are going down. I would have liked him for another year, but it looks like David Stearns wants to act now. Act now. Why potentially play around with Pete Alonso, who, yes, he could have a decent year, but Vladimir Guerrero right now is better now. He's a better ball player now. And to take advantage of a Guerrero, Soto, Lindor lineup, why not get those guys, let them grow and develop? Give them 2025. Give them 2025. I think that core has a lot better opportunity to thrive as a unit and thrive as a team and thrive as a dynasty. As Mr. Juan Soto said in his press conference, that's the goal of this franchise, folks. I mean, obviously the goal is to win, and if you win, you build your brand. And if you build your brand, then you'll have opportunity to sign guys around the world like Sasaki when they come and they have the chance to pick you. Now they know your team. They want to go for a team that's a winner, a team that's known. That's what a lot of these international guys. That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. All right, folks. So that was my kind of quick take a day after the pivot. Let's call that the pivot. And let's not forget, we still expect David Stearns, according to Andy Martino, according to MLB insiders, the Mets have fully, part of their plan is to pivot to acquire top end relievers. So if at the end of the day, if the Mets are able to get a top end reliever or two, get Juan Soto, get Vladimir Guerrero, sign Shormanaya, and my last piece, I would still really consider signing a Mr. Jack Flaherty. I mean, that would be a hell of an offseason, even if you lose a Pete Alonso. But folks, we have to look at, trade-offs, right? Would you rather invest that $30 million that Pete Alonso is demanding in a Pete Alonso, an aging guy who's going to be 31 years old, or a 26-year-old Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who's in the prime of his career, who we can have in that prime for the next 5-6 years. So, I mean, that is a route that I'm excited about. That is a route that I think has potential to happen. I mean, we're all thinking that, he's on Toronto. You got to trade for him. It's a big hurdle. It's not. It's really not. Toronto knows if they don't pay him $450 million, $500 million, they're going to lose him. Toronto doesn't seem to be willing to pay that. And even if they are willing to pay that, I don't know. Then I got to see if Vladdy signs on the dotted line. Maybe he sees an opportunity like New York, a place to build his brand, a place where his career could thrive. So, and you also, see like, guys like Alvarez have put out posts, Francisco Alvarez, that being a post of him, Soto, and Guerrero together, playing together. So where does that come from? So is there inside talk amongst the players? I often think where there's smoke, there's fire, and there's so much smoke a day after the Pete Alonso pivot about Vladimir Guerrero potentially being traded to our New York Mets. What do you think? Is it way off? Do you think that, the pros, cons? Like, I think the pros, in my opinion, like I have a pros and a cons list. The only cons I have is like you lose prospect capital. But if you give up the right prospects, it's not going to hurt as much. But the pros so far outweigh the cons. And that's how I evaluate, is it worth it? Is it not worth it? I think in this situation, saving the money, not competing with other teams, getting that extra year to potentially win a championship, 2025. Also, another year that these guys can grow and gel. There might be growing pains, between the team. So I really like that. I really do like that. And, you see the Dodgers, they've taken years and years to build. I think in our case, getting a Juan Soto has sped up the process in Queens. I also think that if you get a Guerrero, that will really speed up the process. But, we are building, Francisco Lindor has been here for a couple of years. We already have David Stearns. Steve Cohen's been here for a couple of years. So, even though it looks like we may be a lot further than the Dodgers, we've been building ourselves. We've been building ourselves. So, I think that's why we put ourselves in a position to make a Vladimir Guerrero trade. You got to think about it. The competition for Vladimir Guerrero, there's not many teams out there, folks, because you think of it like this. Number one, if you trade for him, do you have the finances and the resources to sign him, right? Number one. Number two, do you need a first baseman? So even if you do have the finances and the resources to sign him, do you need to invest that money in first base? Number two. So there are not many teams that have that. And then number three, if you have the finances and resources and you have first base available, is it worth it to make the trade, right? Is it worth it? Like, is your team in position to be a World Series contender? And I think all those boxes are checked off for the New York Mets. It's worth it for the Mets. If they make this trade, they'll be in position to be a World Series contender. Number two, they have the finances and the resources. And currently, right now, they have first base available for Guerrero. So I think they are the perfect trade candidate for the Toronto Blue Jays. And the Toronto Blue Jays, even if they were get a Sasaki, I think they're in a perfect position to have a slow rebuild. Really a slow rebuild. And, and I was kind of wondering, why would Toronto be all of a sudden interested in the polar bear? All of a sudden interested in the polar bear while still saying they want to sign Guerrero, right? Think of it. Those two players play the same position. Like, it's just so much common sense that, they're pertaining to feign interest in Guerrero just so that, they don't lose leverage in the polar bear stuff. But at the end of the day, once they sign Pete, I fully expect them to trade away Guerrero. I really do. I really do. And, the only reason why they're interested in Pete is because they're losing a pretty big bat. I mean, if you think of it like this, if they expected to sign Guerrero, Pete Alonso makes 0 cents. 0 cents. They both play the same position, right? Pete doesn't want to go there for 1 year and be a DH because he wants to have that contract with an opt-out so that he can improve his value and potentially test the market to get a long-term contract. So it makes no damn sense if Toronto expects to sign Guerrero. No, they're only doing this because they foresee Guerrero being traded, right? And then number two, if, again, another evidence, if Guerrero was going to be there, another reason why they wouldn't sign Pete is, they'd have no space for him, no first base available. And number two, they saw how the long-term contract worked out with George Springer. Same age, George Springer was more athletic. George Springer has declined mightily. So again, the only reason why they have interest in the polar bear is because they know Guerrero is not going to be in Toronto long-term. Good for the New York Mets. He will be available. Stearns knows it, already sniffing around. MLB insiders, they know it. Everybody's sniffing around this incident. And like I said, the reason why there's not other teams, that are options is because there are so many check marks that have to be checked, and there are very, very little teams right now that can check those boxes off. Now, let's look like the Yankees. Would the Yankees all of a sudden be like, oh, we wanted Guerrero? Well, we just signed Goldschmidt for $12.5 million. They're on a tight budget. Did they have an extra $30 million that they can make room for? No, because they're at the $300 million luxury tax line. If they add another $30 million in Guerrero's salary, that would cost them almost $60 million because it would be a double tax penalty. So the Yankees, by attacking the offseason in the way they did, and they would be a perfect fit for Guerrero, this is the sneaky time right now where the Mets could sneak in because other teams aren't set up to get Guerrero. But again, if you give teams a year to prepare for Guerrero hitting the market, there will be much more competition for the services of Vladimir Guerrero. So I'm saying the same thing over and over, but I'm trying to drive home why it makes so much damn sense for the New York Mets and for Guerrero to eventually end up as partners. So we are going to call it a video right now. I want to continue to say thank you to everybody. Everybody, you know who you are. I mean, even if you're new, I want to say personally thank you. I really appreciate the fact that you're listening this whole video. And I like all the new people who have commented. I do appreciate that. We've had a lot of comments lately. So, I read everyone. I may not be responding, but I am reading. So continuing those comments, let me know you're out there. Please let me know you're out there. And how about this? If you are new, obviously, if you've never commented before, say hello. Say hello. I like to say hello to you and personally thank you for supporting the channel and for watching the videos. So thank you again. I will speak to you very, very soon, and have a great day, folks. Have a great day.